everyone, and welcome back. This is episode 20 for the English and language usage. Thank you for being patient. I'm not cranking these videos out as fast as I would like to or as fast as you would like me to, but I'm trying. I put a lot of work into making these so that you could understand them. If it were simple enough just to go read the study guide or look something up online, you wouldn't need me. And my goal is to explain this material so that you will be able to understand it and pass the T's, okay? Tonight, we're going to talk about types of sentences. There's 4 types: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. That's exciting, right? I have received many requests for private tutoring. That is something that I'm considering. However, I'm still in the planning stages for that. I will get back to you as soon as I have the project ready to launch, okay? So let's get started with the exciting types of sentences. Here we go, everybody. Today I'm going to be teaching you about the types of sentences to help you pass the T's. Tonight, I'm going to discuss what is a sentence and then the different types of sentences, which means I'll give you the definitions, I'll give you examples, and then there'll be practice, and then we'll review, okay? First of all, what is a sentence? All you need are 2 things to have a sentence: a subject and a verb. Gotta have both of them. These are examples of 2-word sentences. I call them bare bones sentences because there's not much to them, but they are considered complete sentences. We cheered. We is the subject. Cheered is the verb. She cried. She is the subject. Cried is the verb. I smiled. I is the subject and smiled is the verb. Incomplete sentences are called sentence fragments. And sentence fragments, they can resemble a sentence, and they can contain a phrase like articles, adverbs, and prepositional phrases, but they leave out the verb. So here's an example. Some of the professors at my school, okay, professors is the subject. What about the professors? We don't know because there's no verb. Therefore, that is a sentence fragment. A complete sentence would be, some of the professors at my school work 12 hours a day. So with this complete sentence, the subject is, again, professors, but this time we have the verb, work, and that makes it a complete sentence. You can add different types of words to sentences. Remember the bare bones sentence, we cheered? Well, you could add a prepositional phrase to that. We cheered at the game. You can add a dependent clause, and this is something I'm going to go over in more detail later on in the slide. We cheered at the game when the player hit a home run. When the player hit a home run, that portion of the sentence is the dependent clause. There are 4 types of sentences that you will be required to, I say to know, but really to identify for the T's. A simple sentence, a compound sentence, a complex sentence, and then a compound complex sentence. Let's see if I can break this down for you. So, a simple sentence, again, that's what I had referred to as a bare bones sentence. It has a subject and a verb. It can include articles, adverbs, adjectives, and prepositional phrases. Sometimes it is referred to as an independent clause, independent, which means it can stand by itself, or a complete sentence. When I work with students, I like to explain it as a complete sentence because it seems to be easier for them to understand that. Here are some examples. The cat drank the milk. Her patient smiled at her. Which doctor wrote the prescription? All three of those are examples of simple sentences. Another kind of sentence is compound sentence. And a compound sentence is when you take two simple sentences, two complete sentences, or two independent clauses, and join them together to make one sentence. And you definitely need to be writing compound sentences in college essays, okay? No little baby simple sentences, okay? You can join these two simple sentences by using either a semicolon or a coordinating conjunction. The words that are coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Those words are also referred to as fanboys, and that's just the acronym for the for and nor, but, or, yet, or so. If you combine two complete sentences using a coordinating conjunction, you have to have a comma before that coordinating conjunction. That's just an extra little tip. So let's look at the examples. The cat drank the milk and she ate her food. So there you see we're using "and" as a coordinating conjunction to combine two complete sentences. And therefore it's a compound sentence, and there's a comma before the coordinating conjunction. Let's look at the next sentence. Her patient smiled at her, semicolon, he was feeling better. This time we use the semicolon to combine these two complete sentences. If we just wrote, her patient smiled at her, that is a complete sentence. And if we wrote, he was feeling better, that is a complete sentence. But you know, we're scholars now and we have to use different sentence types. We're going to combine these two complete sentences to make them a compound sentence. Let's look at the last example. I need to know which doctor wrote the prescription so I can ask him a question. And there again, we used one of the fanboys, so, a coordinating conjunction, to combine two complete sentences to form one, a compound sentence. And don't forget, there's always a comma before the coordinating conjunction. Then we have complex sentences. A complex sentence is a simple sentence with a dependent clause added on. These types of sentences are joined together using subordinating conjunctions. Words such as which, when, while, where, because, although. There's others. That's not a complete list. Until. Okay? When the dependent clause comes before the independent clause, it will be followed by a comma. So, if the dependent clause is at the beginning of a sentence, then you put a comma at the end of the dependent clause, and then you have the rest of your sentence. Remember, a dependent clause, it will not be a sentence by itself. So look at this. Actually, I have an example I'll show you in just a minute, okay? On the other hand, if the independent clause comes first, then you don't usually need a comma after it. Sometimes you do, but in most cases you don't. So here are two examples. While I do admire your dress, it does not look good on you. That first part is the dependent clause. While I do admire your dress, you know something else is coming. That is not a complete sentence. So it's set off with a comma, and then it does not look good on you. You know, if we took out the while, the very first word, I do admire your dress, it does not look good on you. I do admire your dress would be an independent clause. We'd have to either combine it, one of the ways I mentioned before. But because of that while I do admire your dress, girl, it does not look good on you at all. Okay, let's look at the other example. I like your dress because it has bright colors. The first part of that sentence, I like your dress, that's the independent clause, the complete sentence. Because it has bright colors, that's the dependent clause. You don't ever use a comma before because when it's in the middle of a sentence. Okay, let me repeat that. Don't use a comma before because when it's in the middle of a sentence. Okay? It's not necessary, and your professor will most likely mark that. And then last but not least, we have compound complex sentences. This one's a little tricky, but hopefully this stuff is starting to make more sense to you and it won't be so challenging. What makes a sentence compound complex is it has the ingredients, if you will, of an independent clause. It has ingredients of a compound sentence. Remember, 2 independent clauses or 2 complete sentences. But it also has a dependent clause in it as well. Okay? Let's look at the examples. When he finishes college, he will focus on obtaining a master's degree, but he has to finish his bachelor's degree first. So if we look at this sentence, the very first part is the dependent clause. When he finishes college, what? We need more information, right? He will focus on obtaining a master's degree. That is a complete sentence. That is an independent clause. It's independent because it can stand by itself. But, and that's our coordinating conjunction, and remember there's always a comma before a coordinating conjunction. But he has to finish his bachelor's degree first. So that first sentence starts out with a dependent clause, but then it's followed by 2 independent clauses, 2 complete sentences. So it's more than just a compound sentence, it's a compound complex sentence. Let's look at the next example. The Ironman competition is very difficult, but many people complete the race in record time, which is amazing. So in this example, the very first part of the sentence is an independent clause, a complete sentence, joining another independent clause or complete sentence using the coordinating conjunction again, but with a comma before it. And then the dependent clause is at the end, which is amazing, That is not a complete sentence. And this sentence gives you an example of when you would use a comma before a dependent clause. But you know what? Don't worry about that. I just threw that in as a little extra tidbit. That is not something you need to worry about. Okay, let's do some practice. Here are the sentences. I'm going to read them. And then I recommend that you pause the video right here and see if you can identify what types of sentences these are. To remind you, if it's a complete sentence, it's a simple sentence. If it's 2 complete sentences, it's a compound sentence. If it's a complete sentence with part of a sentence, then it's a complex sentence. And then if it's 2 complete sentences and an incomplete sentence, the dependent clause, then it would be compound complex. Okay, let me read the sentences for you. Number 1, she did not go to work today. Number 2, the student was sent to the dean's office because he had been caught cheating. Number 3, even though it was snowing, the dog wanted to go for a walk. Number 4, many people enjoy eating cake and chocolate is often their favorite. It's mine. Number 5, if we want to be on time, we need to leave now. Number 6, he did not enjoy the theater, but he wanted to please his friend, which was kind of him. Okay, go ahead and pause. Try to figure these out. Start by identifying the subject and the verb. And then when you're ready, push play again and I'll go over the answers with you. The first sentence is a simple sentence, a complete sentence. The second sentence is complex. It has a complete sentence and part of a sentence. It has an independent clause and a dependent clause. Same with number 3. It is also complex. Number 4 is a compound sentence. It's 2 complete sentences joined together. Number 5, complex sentence. And number 6, compound complex, because the first 2 parts of that sentence, the first 2 parts are independent clauses. And then there's at the end a dependent clause. Therefore, it is a compound complex sentence. As a review, there are 4 types of sentences. A simple sentence I like to refer to as a complete sentence. It contains a subject and a verb. A compound sentence are 2 simple sentences or 2 independent clauses or 2 complete sentences, whatever you're familiar with. 2 of them joined together to make 1 sentence. A complex sentence contains both a simple sentence and a dependent clause. And then last but not least, the compound complex sentence, it has 2 or more independent clauses and a dependent clause. My guess is if that appears on the T's, that's going to be a pretty lengthy sentence. Okay? All right, that is the conclusion of this slide. What I do want to say to you is do not spend too much time on one question. If you're confused after about a minute, if you're confused with the answers, then just guess and move on. It's not worth running out of time just so you can be absolutely sure you got that one problem correct. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I hope to have some more posted in the very near future. And thank you once again. Hi, thanks for watching my video. If you found my video helpful, please indicate it by hitting the like button. You're also welcome to leave any questions or comments down below. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you'll receive notification of all my future videos. Thank you.